Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Divine Disbelief, episode 41?
42.
42.
It's number 42.
Literally just made the joke a second ago.
I did.
And I forgot.
I mean, I'm the queen of bad jokes.
No, you are not.
What?
I, however, am the king of forgetting the jokes you say, so that works out. But welcome into another Thursday edition of Divine Disbelief. We are here. We are in the void of space, apparently.
We are.
We were the other day inside of the Millennium Falcon,
yes.
or so I have been told. And today now we are now in the void of space with I think on that side of you. Yes, there it is, a little logo.
Yeah,
in
can't
the
really
corner.
turn.
You cannot see that right now. But we are super excited that you are here with us for the next, I don't know, hour or so, where we are going to be talking about chaplains doing non-chaplain-y things that they shouldn't, non-constitution-y thingies that they shouldn't be doing. You know, chaplains can't constitution should have been the name. Oh, so much alliteration possibility that I missed. I'm the one that not recorded but created this title, and this is the reason she creates these. So
I'm just really good at puns.
She is.
That's the thing.
She is incredibly punny.
Like I really am. I am proud of myself for being so punny. That's why.
Figured out why it's not on.
Yep.
Why it's not on.
Yep.
So we can see that a couple of folks there are on the. What is it, on Facebook? I think got a couple on Facebook.
Yeah, on
and
Facebook.
Don't know if anybody is actually on Periscope, because even though
it goes live though. I got the alert that it went live on Periscope. Well, it's your channel, so you don't get your alert.
Yeah. My beard looking rather rough today.
You didn't comb it today?
I did not comb it today. So
that's all good.
That's just going to go to
let's see,
YouTube. I think whenever it gets there, it'll broadcast to YouTube. Hopefully at some point.
I don't think it's gonna.
The craziest thing about this is when we started this with YouTube, with Restream earlier today, it gave us your account or channel or whatever is on hold, which usually means you have to go in basically. It's got some like live things planned or whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't, and so we tried, and then we came back, and it was just fine, and now it's no longer fine.
Not.
Yes.
I vote we just stop using Restream.
You know, that seems like a good idea.
It's probably the best bet.
I also don't see any comments coming through from Facebook either, which would, I think that Facebook should probably be able to give comments, but if they do, they'll pop up, I think, on above your head or in the middle of your middle of your face. Over there?
Yeah, next to me.
Yeah,
somewhere. They'll be right here.
The
delay is funny.
Watching this on the delay is a lot of fun.
It is way entertaining.
But what this means, though, is that this will still be recorded, and it's still going to be on Facebook.
Maybe.
Gosh, I hope so.
Let's see if it's actually on Facebook.
Well, I see there's people that are watching on Facebook, so
yeah,
we are good, which is great.
Yeah. It's on Facebook.
Oh,
that's cool.
I hope I didn't just kill it, because I went to
see. Oh yeah, there's some people watching.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Crazy.
That's
talk.
Cool. That probably did.
I hope it didn't.
Well, I don't know. It says it's still live.
We are good. See, this is what happens when YouTube fucks with you on your. No, it's probably Restream. Honestly, we don't.
It's Restream.
We don't need to. If you're out there and you know something better than Restream, which there's got to be.
Yeah, there has to be.
This is beyond garbage.
Yeah, this is very, very frustrating.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay you. Remember they wanted to pay us like $50 a month? They're paying like $50 a month? You can't even stream properly to YouTube. Why would I want to pay you money?
I'm not going to pay you money, Restream.
For extra stuff.
No, not doing that.
Anyways.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Highly ridiculous.
And so what we are hoping for is that that this is recorded and stored onto the Facebook, so we can then take it down from Facebook. Not take it down. We're not going to do that. But then be able to download it from Facebook and then trim this part off of it. Sure. Add add the proper, because you can cut it just like we did last week with the deep dive. If you did not see last week's deep dive, it's very good. It's about the historical Jesus. I said it's very good. Sure, I did it. It was good. Go check us out on Twitter. It's also, we have something on the TikTok with it. It's a minute thing on TikTok where an atheist came in and said, "This guy's wearing a March for Our Lives shirt, black." And so, and so I said, that seemed like something odd to say. But you should go check that out. That is on our YouTube, and it is also on our Twitter.
Yeah.
So this week, this is actually not a bad week for news overall. As it turns out, when you're locked inside for 7 straight weeks, not as much happens. Not as much bullshit goes on.
No. Has it been 7 weeks?
Yes, it is. It is at 7, a little bit over 7 weeks. For like almost 2 months. Mm-hmm.
No, it's been 2 months because it was
7 weeks is 2 months. Don't know.
Almost. I don't.
But
hell if I know.
In the meantime, people have been getting money they maybe shouldn't have been. Maybe should not have been receiving, and
that's nothing new.
This one actually comes to us from Trinidad
and Tobago.
Tobago. It's a bagel. It's Trinidad and Tobago.
I think so.
Either way, I couldn't even say Trinidad.
Somebody please correct me.
But this one comes there. This is from the social development minister. Her name is Camille Robinson Regis. I know how to say that one because I watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And the way that this article begins, by the way, is how all articles like this should begin. Because it says, the ultimate guardian against religious groups abusing funds given to them to feed the needy in the COVID lockdown is Almighty God, said Minister of Social Development Camille Robinson Regis. I love this, by the way, because it says guardian, and then it says against religious people, and also abusing.
Yeah.
All these words together, and I was like, it's like she knows things.
Well, to me, what I'm reading is that she's like, it's fine. God's not gonna let them abuse this.
Well,
abuse this misappropriation of funds.
Yeah. That is the ultimate guardian. Now, mind you, Trinidad and Tobago.
We'll say that.
Tobago.
Yeah.
Tobago. I'm sorry if I insulted anybody with that. Said that she was replying to a question, about possible fraud. And of course, they're in Porto, Spain, which, by the way, is not Port-au-Prince. I found that out. That's in a different country.
It is.
Basically had $10 million in government grants given to these religious groups.
Mm-hmm.
So religious groups in Trinidad and Tobago, they're not exempted. Right? There's no there's no American style separation of church and state like that, and so they can receive this money.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turns out, church people be fallible, and church people be they do fraudy stuff.
Yeah, that happens.
So what she said is this: the minister, that's her. I love this because she's the minister and she's talking about God. So this all works out. Each group must not limit its disbursements only to members of their faith. That's like good. That. Yes.
Yeah.
And that migrants could also benefit. That, of course, means people who are in the country but not citizens.
Right.
And that is great.
That is a far more progressive view than anybody in America who is, religious and receiving funds intended to help people.
They must formally agree to properly distribute the aid and then report on how they spent the funds. This is the opposite of what American religious organizations are required to do.
Yep.
The exact opposite. In the United States, we don't know if you cook the books because we don't even know if you have books. Because we don't get to see them.
We do not get to see them. Which is such a crock of shit.
Now, they did, but she also said that they are not going to say, we're not going to, or what she did, we're not going to necessarily do much more besides not give you more money.
Yeah.
We're not going to actually prosecute you. right?
Okay.
So even if you discriminate based upon religion, like so if you're Christian, you decide not to give something to Muslims, we might not give you any more money, but we're not going to actually, charge you with anything. Like, as in, like religious discrimination. And there are 14 denominations they're giving money to, and here's what they are in Trinidad and Tobago. The Anglican Church is getting $792,000. Islam, $594,000. The Hindus are getting $1.9 million.
Wow.
Baptists, $793,000. Baptist Other, which doesn't really specify, $99,000. So what we do here is we're going to put the Anglican, the Baptists, the Baptist Other together, right? Because they're all Christian. Jehovah's Witnesses, Well, Jehovah's Witness, $99,000. But they may not actually take the money because it's like, it's kind of like whenever you're looking at somebody trying to save a life and you want to give somebody some plasma or something. Don't do that.
Yeah, they're not going to do it.
Methodists are getting $148,000. The Baha'i Faith, no. Evangelicals, $1.782 million, and they have so far not collected anything, which honestly, again, totally unlike
That's surprising.
America.
That's very surprising.
Moravian, $49,000. Orisha, $99,000. Presbyterian, $297,000. Roman Catholic, $2.57 million. Rastafarians, which I spoke about last week, $99,000. And Seventh-day Adventists, $594,000. And I don't know exactly how much money that is, but that's a lot of money. They're going to churches that is specifically stated, not just religious organizations, specifically to give to those who are in need. And I appreciate that. And the only purpose of the grant was for food support to citizens and permanent residents who were adversely affected by COVID-19. Although she went on to say, also everybody. And the first batch of checks, which are going to total about $8 million, were actually distributed this past Saturday. And it's going to, in order to get the money, they have to sign a release form, basically saying, we promise this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then if they don't, then they will likely be held from receiving any more funding. So, how are you going to know, right? Even if
it does say that they have to submit how it's being dispersed.
Yeah, but churches don't lie about that.
Who knows?
And she said this. She said, "I believe in God's grace." When asked if anybody would be dishonest, if she thought that was the case, she said, "I believe in God's grace. I assume, religious organizations are deeper in faith than I am. Please don't do that." And she said she expected them to stick to the agreement, adding, "I also expect that because they are so steeped in their faith that they will not move away from doing what is right as God is watching them. The only consequence is they will have to account to their God, and that's the secondary consequence, is actually two of them. No other funding will be given."
Yeah, that is more than an only consequence.
Yes. So that's interesting. I hope that they're honest and that they give it, because Trinidad and Tobago, they don't have quite the infrastructure we do, and so giving up these millions and tens of millions of dollars and stuff like that is actually a really big deal. I don't know what the organizations are giving to anybody else to give. Like, what is the government giving to those who are not going to reach out to religious organizations? I think that is something as well. So
yeah,
guess we'll see. But good to see they're doing something, and certainly hope that the religious organizations do reach out in good faith and actually do a good job.
Yeah, I'm hoping the accountability system that they intend on having, with the disbursements and making sure you're keeping track of stuff, I am hoping that actually goes as planned. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
The Guardian always wants money from me, like just $1. If I gave the Guardian $1 every time I saw that,
give it $1.
Yeah. It's the first time I've seen it today. So a couple of weeks ago, you talked about George Pell.
I did.
The cardinal down in Australia, who was convicted of sexual assault of minors, and was sentenced to a number of years in prison, and recently was released.
Yes.
Not just given some sort of shorter sentence, but released from prison completely altogether. They took the spotlight, turned it around, and made it into a gaslight, and told them it didn't really happen.
That was a good one.
Thanks. That was on the spot. That's
good.
pretty rare.
That was real good.
And so apparently, this is from the Guardian. It said that George Pell was aware of children being sexually abused. Yeah. Okay. First off, we know.
Yeah, that's not new.
Yeah, previously, the reason we know this is because there were previously redacted findings from the commissioner's report into his handling of child abuse claims that we can now read. And by the way,
I don't know if I want to.
You can read them. It's a trigger thing.
I don't know if I want to.
So, within the Archdiocese of Ballard, by Gerald Risdale, that's the actual name of the. So if I said this, by the way, he was not. Pell was not. He was one that he was over. He was not accused of sexually assaulting,
right.
But he was overseeing it and chose to not act on it.
Yeah, he was covering it up.
Yes. So if I made that seem otherwise, I apologize for that. So he was not, but this person, Gerald Risdale, was. And that it was implausible that other people did not tell Pell that other things were happening. There was so much of it. It was so widespread. So many people knew about it. You have 100 pages that were redacted at one point, which we can now read. And by the way, can go and read those. This will be on YouTube with the links in the description. If you'd like to, you can go and read those. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And
this is just, it's, while I do understand that it's very, very important to bring these things out in the open, I understand that. I understand that it's very, very important to expose monsters for what and who they are. I get that.
Agreed.
The part that it's not that it makes me nervous, is that it makes me sad for these people who have undergone all of this. A lot of times it's like they basically have to relive it over and over, and so often, and this is not just with stuff having to do with the Catholic Church, this is for, sexual assault survivors in general. It's like they just have to relive it over and over and over, and they have to prove that it happened.
Yeah.
And it's rough. It's really, really rough.
And over again. And Ninja Near You on Periscope said that apparently I watched him deny the allegations on TV when it happened, and he was doing it allegedly. That I don't know. He was acquitted. I think himself. He was acquitted a couple of years ago of any charges against himself. Now, of course, with that being said, he supported. So he knew Gerald Risdale. If you're unaware of this, he knew Gerald Risdale back in the 70s, right? He stayed with him. Actually, lived together, right? They lived together in the same home. And so, again, it is completely implausible that this person wouldn't have known these things, because these allegations against him stem from the 70s, they stem from the 80s, and into those 90s. 1993 was when Risdale actually was on trial, and for the first time.
Yeah. The first time.
And this is also on trial, sure, but the Archdiocese in Australia has a habit of doing the same thing that they do here in the United States. And what happens is when there's some sort of misconduct, they don't fire them or anything, or like defrock them. No, they just move them to a new diocese. Yeah. And this one was they went to Sydney in 1982. I forget where they were before. But for all the 70s, this guy was living with Risdale, and then instead of actually holding him accountable, decided just to move him around. Yeah. And the commissioner's report, by the way, said, we are satisfied that Cardinal Pell's evidence as to the reason that the CEO deceived him was implausible. We do not accept that Bishop Pell was deceived intentionally or otherwise. It is implausible, this is the third time they've said this, given the matters set out above, that Bishop Ronald Mulkerns did not inform those at the meeting of at least complaints of sexual abuse of children having been made. This is the report saying there's no way that this person couldn't have known these things. Apparently, Pell also told the... Yes, love? We're live on YouTube?
No, that's Facebook.
Oh. What's up?
It's not.
Oh, what's...
It's not on Facebook.
Well, we're live on...
It's just...
Okay, well, we're live on Periscope, so...
There we go. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're good. He was also investigating pedophile priest Peter Searson. Was not his responsibility. This is back in the 80s, because he believed the Catholic Education Office and Milkerns were handling the allegations. Pell gave evidence that he was handed a list of incidents and grievances about Searson in 1989, which included reports that he had abused animals in front of children and was using children's toilets, but this apparently was not enough information for somebody to act. This is a priest, let's remember that. This is a priest who is he's a cardinal. The only thing that I know about the Catholic Church when it comes to cardinals is that I've seen the 1990s film, The Three Musketeers, and it's not my fault. The cardinal's the bad guy. The cardinal is always the bad guy. The first film I saw Chris O'Donnell in. It was also...
I think mine was the Batman one.
Oh, okay, it's a couple years later.
Yeah.
And of course, Searson died like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But, so this person has been released from prison, right? Acquitted of charges against himself. But now we have these redacted information, and now it's saying, oh, you shouldn't have been. You shouldn't have been kicked out. You knew about these things, and you had to have known about these things. And yet this is redacted information. They read this. How could you? I don't know.
That is...
Great job, Australia. Way to keep up the American spirit.
That's frustrating. That is...
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yep.
Plain and simple, it's just...
It is.
Yeah.
Beyond.
Do you have anything that's like...
Yeah, the last one.
Less depressing?
Yeah, the last one's really funny.
Oh, okay. So we have stuff that's less depressing.
Yeah.
That's fine. That
so
works. That's cool.
This one real quick. And then, hey, guess what, Fox News? I'm not going to let you have ads. I also don't want you to autoplay, so don't you do it. So this comes from Fox News. This is up in Nebraska. So, this is a guy from a Nebraska. No, this is the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was all like, this doesn't look like Nebraska.
This is the wrong thing. So last week in Nebraska, there was a chaplain from the United States Army or National Guard, or Air Force. I don't know. It's probably Offutt in Nebraska, in Omaha, and he was praying with them. He said, I'm not going to give you guys a sermon, so I'm going to give you a sermon.
Oy. And
he basically did that, and so now under fire from like the FFRF, I think. So that's happening. Good job, Nebraska. Way to suck again. Home state, just yeah. So I don't know which one this is yet because I linked the wrong one. That happens. A senior U.S. military chaplain in South Korea is under fire. Oh man, not great.
Yeah, that's
not
a
great
really
wording.
bad choice of words.
Definitely not being shot at.
Real bad.
For an email he sent last month to 35 other chaplains under his command at Camp Humphreys, mentioning Christian author John Piper's book, Coronavirus and Christ. Is this already a book? How?
Apparently No Illusions from the Scathing Atheist is writing a book about religion and how it's affecting stuff in the pandemic.
Oh, okay, well there you go then.
Yeah, that's cool.
So critics argue it was a, quote, improper platform, but those defending the chaplain say he did nothing wrong given his job description. And if he sent it to other chaplains under his command, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
The book has helped me refocus my sacred calling on my Savior, Jesus Christ, to finish strong. I'd like to point out, by the way, that's a Paul thing. U.S. Army Colonel Moon H. Kim wrote in an email, which he attached the free PDF, which, by the way, if you click on the link and you go to Fox News, you can get the free PDF of the book, adding, quote, hopefully this small booklet would help you and your soldiers, their families, and others where you serve. And it is the book is red. It looks like a Swiss Army book.
It's probably that way on purpose.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'd imagine so.
Mikey Weinstein, which is always a good name. You want to be, in like just the last name in general. The president and founder of Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which, by the way, I believe that is in San Antonio. A watchdog group, often at odds with military chaplains, sent a letter to the SecDef, Mark Esper, that's the Secretary of Defense, on April 29th, demanding that Kim, quote, be officially, swiftly, aggressively, and visibly investigated and disciplined in punishment for his deplorable actions. Point out real quick, this is not a BDSM thing, so let's make sure that we keep that in mind. And of course, then we have First Liberty Institute. They are the nation's largest religious freedom law firm. The general counsel's name is Mike Berry. Says, if the Army gives in to Mikey Weinstein's demands, Mike, you got to change your name, bro. Just not the Weinstein, just the Mikey thing.
Okay.
My youngest brother's name is Mikey, and trust me, nobody respects him because of his name. Also because he's a piece of garbage, but his name. It will be violating the Constitution and federal law. It will also be violating the sacred trust that is necessary for our military to defend the nation. He's, by the way, formerly a Marine JAG. And he went on to say, Chaplain Kim, having issues with CHs and Ks recently, should be commended for sharing good news and hope during a pandemic, and Mikey Weinstein should be ashamed of himself. I have to tell you, I don't know that what he did was wrong.
Especially if he's just sharing it with chaplains.
Yeah, exactly. And if they are Protestant chaplains, Protestant or Roman Catholic, I guess either one of those is fine. As long as they're Christian. That he is representing, Weinstein is representing 22 Christian military chaplains from multiple branches of service, not all of whom were included on the original email. They complained about the email and wanted to maintain anonymity because they feel it would be subject to, quote, retaliation if they attempted to register their objections via the chain of command. He said unsolicited copies to subordinate chaplains promoting the book's message that the coronavirus is God's judgment for sins, including homosexuality. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
You can't do that.
Yep.
So.
That's bad take. Bad take.
Yep.
Real bad take.
Yeah, you can't do that part.
No.
You can say, hey, this is a book I've been reading.
Yeah.
You can do that. But you also, if it only went to people who were under your command, or somebody like if you're a lieutenant, and if the lieutenant colonel, ends up sending you something, it's almost a command to read it.
That's true.
Yeah. So.
That's true.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Yeah. Bad take, man. Bad take.
Yeah. Promoting the book's message that the coronavirus is God's judgment for sins, including homosexuality. So why is he killing the Christians? Is the dumbest thing, honestly. You know what I love right now, by the way? This is totally off, but you can see part of the logo through the chair. Because it's got the hole in the chair. There's a hole in the chair, so you can see part of the logo.
That's funny.
Cool. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that, because I can see now where there'd be a complaint, especially if you're one of the subordinates who are left off that list. And finally, in final news, this one's just really funny to me. So you know how like American evangelicals just love them some Israel?
Yes.
Oh man, and why? Right? Or for good, I guess for them for good reason.
Because it's where Jesus came from.
Yeah, it's where to Jesus, right? That's his place. It's also where they fucking beat him almost to death and then murdered him.
That's true.
The Romans, by the way, not the Jews. Let's keep a few things straight here. The Jews did not because they could not, and even if they could have, they couldn't have. There's a whole mess wrong with this bullshit altogether. There was no like secret meeting on the day before the Passover, all right, or the Feast of the Unleavened Bread. There couldn't have been. We know that because we actually have their rule book that says you can't do this shit. So yeah, Also, no, yeah. But Israel, as it turns out, not so pro Jesus. So
Really?
I'm segueing through that I say that on purpose, saying it was not the Jews that killed Jesus in any shape, form, or fashion. No, it was the Romans. They killed him because the motherfucker was an insurrectionist, right? He was claiming to be a king. By the way, if you don't believe me, ask Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I hear they're good. And 4 guys I happen to know. And
Personally.
but these days, Benjamin Netanyahu said, Israel, the country of Israel,
the entirety of it,
is threatening to shut down a new TV channel because it promotes, quote, the gospel of Jesus. I want you motherfuckers to say anything about whenever I get upset, Fox News. This is on Fox News.
This is on Fox News.
I am looking at the Fox News channel right now, and it said, by using our site, you agree to our privacy policy in terms of use. I don't agree to shit. They are reportedly threatening to remove God TV, all caps, just 1 week after its launch, claiming it is proselytizing. You fucking
1 week
think?
After?
You think that a channel known as God TV is going to proselytize?
No.
Why did you? Anyways, the Christian broadcast, at least 200 countries responded saying, what?
Wait, what? No.
Said,
no.
This is actually really funny. This is a hilarious, this is, for them, it's probably like, why are we writing this? Because they said, if we were doing something sneaky, we would not have announced it to the world. They're sitting here yeah, you would have, shut up. They're sitting here looking at Israel going, if there was something you didn't know about, what? Are you serious? Israel. We give you billions of dollars in military weapons so you can bomb Palestinians. You're welcome. Let us talk about the Jesus. And basically, this is actually really cool. So last week, it began in all Hebrew language. So that's great. I know exactly 0 of Hebrew language.
Same.
It's called Shalanu TV on the HOT cable network, or the HOT cable network. It's in Israel, makes sense. A 7-year license from the Israeli Communications Ministry. So they knew God TV was coming. What the fuck did they think it was going to be?
It wasn't a surprise. They were not sneaky about it.
So if it's not, if the whole thing is in Hebrew and yet it's still God TV and it's not Yahweh TV, maybe it's not Jewish. This is good. Today we made history. For the first time ever, a messianic television channel is broadcasting the gospel across Israel in the Hebrew language. This is from God TV on April 29th. Shalanu translate to hours in Hebrew. Cool. I
learned something new today.
We want every person in Israel to know not a foreign Messiah because he's from Israel, but a Jewish one. Yeah, that's what they knew. Messiah meant anointed one. He never claimed to be God. You're not telling them things they don't know. This is like a Jewish thing. What?
Do you really think that Christians don't know that Jesus never claimed to be God?
Oh no, they have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know that.
Giving him a lot of credit.
His name is Yeshua, and he has not forgotten his people. That's important to note, because if he is any kind of exalted being at this point, if Jesus of Nazareth is an exalted divine being at this point, no, he hasn't, because he was very specific. He was only here for the fucking Jews. So I guarantee you he hadn't forgotten them. It's the rest of us.
Yeah. We're all fucked.
And then they were really excited. Turns out Israel, not so much. On Tuesday, Israeli Communications Minister David Anselm, what do you call him, Anselm, said in a statement he was not aware that a license was granted. He's the communications minister, by the way. There are 2 ministers we've talked about today. The one in Trinidad and Tobago, a better one.
That's true.
At least more aware of things.
That's very true.
If you're going to do your job, don't do your job like the U.S. government. Do it like the person in Trinidad and Tobago. As I say that, it doesn't sound good. He said he will not allow any missionary channel to operate in Israel because we don't do freedom of religion here. At no time and under no circumstances. The decision to allow the channel's contract was an oversight who requested, quote, a thorough investigation. Oh man, somebody gonna get some crucifixion action. If indeed this channel does missionary work, it will be removed post haste. He said immediately, but mine sounds better. Proselytizing to anyone under 18 years old without parental consent is against the law in Israel.
Wow.
And the terms of the license issued to Shalanu prohibit missionary program. Oh, well, you done fucked. You done. I'm sorry, you done goofed. More than 700,000.
I already said shit earlier.
I think I said fuck 2 times. Israeli households subscribe to the channel, nearly half the Israeli market for cable. There you go. And the station manager said, it's been tough.
It's been a challenging process. I love that.
And asked for financial support on the website, the TV's website, saying to produce relevant and dynamic content that will grab the attention of the Israeli people and open their eyes to the truth of their Messiah, Yeshua. I have an idea, and just go with me on this. You should show them the passion of the
They'll love it.
On loop. I guarantee you they will convert by the Palestinians.
Post haste.
Like, there is nothing about this television station, I guarantee you, that it is all appealing to anybody in Israel that's not already a Christian.
Yeah, no. No.
Like, why? It's also in Israeli-based Tikkun International, which describes itself as, quote, a global family of ministries, congregations, and leaders dedicated to the dual restoration of Israel and the church. And then Michael Brown, who is a Messianic Jew, he said that the channel will preach the gospel of Jesus the Messiah,
the anointed one,
in Israel on cable TV for the first time in history. So there you go. And apparently they are Christian channels Daystar and Middle Eastern Television, both broadcast on the Yes Satellite TV and do not proselytize. So there are other Christian. How does that work, by the way?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, proselytizing. What is the technical definition of proselytizing?
Talking about the Jesus.
So.
Well, I guess you were talking about the gospel. Yeah, I guess if they're just like
preaching the gospel. That's proselytizing.
If you're watching religious programming, right? You're getting proselytized too.
That's true.
And you know what you're watching.
Yeah.
You don't trust me. I can let you know. You don't hate watch it. All right. We don't. It's available. We don't. Neither do you.
I'd rather not watch it.
Yeah. The only reason that I know that like Ken Ham and folks like him have new stuff is because thanks Paulogia for that and Riced Vino or Vino at this point, I guess. No, yeah, we don't hate watch this stuff unless we have like monetary something to gain for it monetarily.
Incentive.
Yeah, which we don't.
We do not.
No, we sneak into churches. Okay, that's what we do. We don't sneak in. We go to church.
Yeah.
And we listen, and then we report on it. You're welcome. And so yeah, we've never actually.
Sometimes we protest.
Oh yeah, we've never actually gone somewhere into a church and said Christian.
No,
Yeah.
we do not. We do not lie to them.
No,
nobody asks.
Yeah, they just assume. Really crazy. They assume when I'm wearing an atheist shirt. They don't know the symbol, so it works out.
They don't.
But yeah, so that's funny.
That is funny.
Like,
that's
what did you think was gonna happen?
Right.
Did you think they were like not gonna talk about the Jesus? In what way?
Did they think it was just gonna be perpetual VeggieTales?
That's proselytizing.
Is it?
Yeah, musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you
musical proselytizing?
Yeah.
That should have been the name of the episode. Damn it. I can change it.
You can.
I can change that. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna make sure that that's still there. Stuff. Making sure everything's still on Facebook. Hi, Facebook. How's it going?
We're still on Periscope as well.
Yep. So, 2 weeks ago, we began what was going
to be, yep.
a 2-part segment.
Missed that rewrite.
On the goings-on in Hawkins, Texas. Namely about a resident and a sign that he convinced the city to create. A sign, we should restate, was paid for by the city, created by public school students, and placed on public land, thus making it the official property of the government of Hawkins. In tonight's deep dive, we hope to conclude, but do not actually conclude, our coverage of controversy in Hawkins, Texas. All right. There we go. We're getting things figured out slowly but surely. All right. So, 2 weeks ago, we brought up Will Rogers. Again, not Oklahoma's favorite son, who also has property named after him in Dallas, which I guess makes him like Texas's stepson, but rather a man with the same name who moved to Hawkins in 2011. And because he figured the already existent Welcome to Hawkins sign at 3 of the town's entrances weren't enough, he received unanimous approval from the city council to have public school students create the Jesus Welcomes You to Hawkins sign. See behind me. This sign was placed not at the edge of town where, again, a sign already existed, but rather nearly a mile into town on a piece of public property just 25 feet from his coffee shop's property line. Rogers was mayor when, in June 2015, the city received its second letter in as many years from the Freedom from Religion Foundation and their staff attorney, Sam Grover. But this time, Rogers decided the gloves were coming off. Now, this wasn't some measly feed and seed club at the middle school. Oh, no. To Rogers, this letter demanding the sign be removed was an attack not just on him, but on Christianity itself. The city and its citizens were going to fight. Yeah. Okay. So Nathaniel actually lived in East Texas at that time. He received a message from a friend of his who lived in Hawkins, informing him of a city council meeting that was taking place on June 15th, and citizens would be provided opportunities to speak. He took the day off of work, put on a shirt and tie, looking all nice and dapper, made the 2-hour drive north from Lufkin to Hawkins. He found the town's city council room, which shares the building with the Hawkins Police Department, not a surprise there, filled to its stated capacity of 35, and with others standing in the hallway. Members of the town, as you can imagine if you've ever heard of or read stories about how these situations usually go, were not exactly willing to allow what they viewed as an infringement of their constitutional rights by a godless organization full of bullies from Wisconsin to continue. They loved their sign, and they were going to keep it. One young lady did speak up and said she was a Christian, but wished her fellow citizens cared as much about the food drive for public school students as a sign which affected exactly 0 of them. And here's a spoiler, for good reason, that lady would be elected to the Hawkins City Council in the not-so-distant future. Dig it. So when Nathaniel had his turn to speak, he was fully prepared to deliver semi-prepared remarks for 5 minutes, which was the amount of time allotted for each citizen. Those in attendance must have thought he was there to speak for them, because they were all smiles until he said his name and said, "I am an atheist." At that point, most of the town turned against him. He spoke about how the request to remove the sign had nothing to do with the religion itself, but rather what message it unintentionally sent to both residents of the town and those passing through. He said he would have said the same if the sign had any other religious name on it, even mentioning Muhammad and Satan. He was somewhat nervous because he improperly pronounced Taoism, but that was likely because at almost exactly the 2-minute 30-second mark, just halfway through his allowed time, A resident raised his arm in the air and started pointing at his watch, noting the 5 minutes had expired. This wasn't the case, but other residents joined in, effectively forcing an end to his opinion. People really do like to cut him off when he's saying something. There's a lot to him. And as Nathaniel returned to his seat, a unique interaction occurred. Mayor Will Rogers stopped him and said he would, quote, like a chance to respond. Nathaniel noted how this was the time for citizens and not elected officials, but the mayor would not be denied. He said, "You and people like you are trying to take away the will of the people. The last time that happened, that was under Hitler." That was a really quick Godwin, by the way. Super fast on that one. Nathaniel interrupted him and reminded him America isn't Nazi Germany, and a city removing a sign which didn't need to be there in the first place wasn't taking away the will of the people as much as it was ensuring all people were represented. He was told to sit down and that his 5 minutes were up. Later in that same meeting, Mayor Rogers again spoke his opinion on the subject, stating that all the major religions mention Jesus, from Hinduism to Buddhism. Yeah. Nathaniel, sitting in the back row, interrupted the mayor and told him, of course, that he was incorrect, that neither religion actually mentions Jesus. The mayor said, Wikipedia said, and actually slammed the gavel down, telling Nathaniel he'd be removed if he continued to interrupt. Rogers went on to say, even if Jesus is just a good man, as some believe, what would be the problem with having his name on the sign? What about a president? Can we put one of their names on a sign? Jesus isn't a religion. That was apparently enough for the citizens as they clapped and cheered the mayor. Other citizens directed their ire at Nathaniel, asking him where he was from, if he was part of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, why it mattered to him if he wasn't from Hawkins, why they didn't like northern aggression, of all things, that they should put up a 20-foot tall blinking sign on both sides of the town because they apparently wanted more signs welcoming people to Hawkins than actual citizens of the town. Nathaniel only said it mattered because he lived in America and would want every person to be respected with the same rights. The city council meeting ended with no vote on the sign, but rather a promise to consider what each person had said. The next meeting would be July 6th, and the same rules would apply. Before the next meeting, a strange phenomenon occurred. Blue yard signs with the words, "Jesus welcomes you to Hawkins," right there, emblazoned on them began appearing in yards throughout the town, and some citizens began wearing shirts which matched the color and wording of the sign, showing they were standing in solidarity. They were, of course, informed nobody cared if they put stuff on their own property because it didn't violate the Constitution, but that information didn't affect any of them. They carried on. Will Rogers would not be upstaged, though. Speaking with local news station KLTV, he said the following, quote, "If you don't believe that Jesus existed, then he would be fiction. He's fiction, and you want to remove his name from everything, then you have to remove every fiction name from across the country. That means we couldn't say, Superman welcomes you to town." And we'd like to remind you of the mindset of some folks who dogmatically defend this type of unconstitutional behavior. They make completely outlandish statements like what Rogers said, or as one citizen said regarding the sign, "Come and take it," reference to the 1831 Texas Revolution from Mexico. They had stolen a Mexican cannon and when told to return it, instead said, "Come and take it," before successfully turning away the Mexican army time and again. Another citizen said, quote, "Rest assured, it will not stop with one sign. When is the day coming when they're going to take it from our own private property?" A compatriot of hers even asked, "When are they going to come for our steeples?" Begs the question, what would we do with a steeple? Use them for enormous jousting matches? I don't know. The town was full of activity for the July 6th City Council meeting, and Nathaniel attended as well to that one. He ensured he was given his 5 minutes to speak, but this was when he met multiple individuals from nearby Jarvis Christian College. That was obvious, because more than one of the individuals used their 5 minutes to pray for the town, the sign, and the city council. Well, it should have been their 5 minutes, it wasn't. Many of them preached directly from the podium, speaking directly at the citizens, and labeling those who wanted the sign gone as possessed by demons. Yeah, demons. The city council did nothing to stop them, and allowed many to speak for as long as they pleased, seemingly enjoying the attention. It was at the end of this meeting, another in which no progress was made and no vote was cast regarding the sign, that Nathaniel and another atheist who had traveled to Hawkins were approached by multiple individuals who informed them it would be best if they didn't return to the town. When the individuals were informed those threats were illegal, they said, "We don't want it to be illegal, so don't come back." Yes, that happened. And, of course, that's where we're going to leave it for now, because it's gonna get good. Well, better, because it's already gotten good. So today you saw a taste of just how crazy the situation in Hawkins was, but next week, in our final installment, you'll see twists and turns even scriptwriters couldn't think of. And that is Deep Dive.